Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 15, the Big 15 of the podcast known as the Life I'm Lovin. I am your host, Vincent. Here with me always is the hostess with the mostest, my little lady, Scarlett. So this week, been a hotter week. Weather's been a little bit more on the hot side in Anaheim Hills, Southern California. Work has been busier, more hours, more tiring times, more money. So, busy, but busy. You know what I'm saying? Very glad that it is the weekend for those of you who are going to be listening to this on Friday, last day of the week. So we're ready for that. Scarlett and I are super stoked to enjoy the weekend and relax, get away from it all for a good 48 hours or so. Really unwind, get ready for the next work week, get it going 110% most of the time. I said most of the time? Don't judge me. So episode 15, we got another milestone, we got another interval of 5, if you will, 15 episodes. That means we're over the 100-day mark. 15 times 7. What is that? Yes, 105, Scarlett, you little genius. And we are happy. We're still doing this consistently. That is the main thing. And for those of you who can hear a slight difference, I have actually changed location of recording for the first time since before I was airing these. There's no fan in my office yet. I need to get one of those. But it's a lot hotter in there than it is in the rest of the house. I think it might be the small space, the carpet, the lack of a fan in there might have something to do with it. I don't know for sure. So if you can hear this, we're actually in the living room. So you might have a little bit more spaciness to it, a little more echo, but chilling on the couch. Scarlett's chilling on the couch, enjoying her little peanut butter stick. You better be less gassy today. And no coughing either. Getting real tired of that. Okay. Well, ignore me if you must. But this week's episode, I thought we would play off of last week's episode. And for those of you who didn't listen to last week's episode, that is completely fine. Because this one might want to make you go back a few days and listen to the first one. And for those of you who listened to the first one, this is gonna be helpful because it's the rest. Part 2, if you will. And so last week's episode was all about a blog post that Scarlett and I found on the interwebs after looking up questions, things that people tend to ponder in their 20s. I'm 28. Scarlett is also 28. It's crazy. We're the same age, Scarlett. We came across this blog post from a website called All Grown Up. I'm going to give a quick rundown of the website, who created the website, what the blog post I'm going to be going over is about, and then we'll just dive right into it. allgrownup.com is a website created by a gentleman named Paul Angone. Might be butchering the name. Sorry, Paul. I didn't mean to. But if you go to allgrownup.com, the main page is an introduction. It's him, looks very happy, very excited for us to be here, which is always really nice. I feel very invited into the web space that he has created for us. And he has this little section here that reads, I created All Grown Up to help guide you through the what now of life. Our 20s, 30s, this whole adulthood, what do I do with my life thing is hard. I'm here to help. starting in 2012, All Grown Up has reached millions of people in 190 countries. Check out the top 5 all-time blog posts here. It's blue, the rest of the writing is black. You can click on it. You can check out those top 5 all-time blog posts there to get a taste of what All Grown Up is all about. I also travel the nation speaking, am the author of best-selling books, 101 Secrets for Your 20s, and 101 Questions You Need to Ask in Your 20s, with my newest book, Listen to Your Day, the life-changing practice of paying attention. Below that, he has a little scripture here that says, need an idea where to start? And then there's an arrow pointing down. And then you have, do you want to click on blog? Do you want to click on podcast? Books, videos, speaking, courses, origins, sounds deep. Connect, sounds deep as well. And media. So a nice little intro page that Paul Angone has going on here. And throughout the page, there's a lot of eggs. I think that's his mascot, an egg that looks like he's groaning, all grown up. And if you see the logo here, it's all grown up, and it's an egg behind the grown part. The eyes look like they're grown in, and the O is the mouth. It's really creative. I respect that, Paul. The specific blog post that I was going over last week and am going to continue on this week is known as the 11 questions every 20-something needs to ask. And there's a little part right here that gives you the kind of rundown of what this post is about. What now is the question that plagues us in our 20s like chickenpox. The more we scratch, the worse it itches. Gross. The overwhelming vagueness of what am I doing with my life, crushing us like a bully who sat on our head in 3rd grade. Also gross. Our 20s can feel like being smothered in questions, but if we don't ask the right questions, then we'll forever remain stuck. After years of struggle, studying, searching, and being unglamorously squashed over and over again, here's what I believe are the 11 questions every 20-something needs to ask to be successful. Yeah, I like how I ended that one too. So the 11 questions, and I went over some of them in my previous episode last week, so I'm not going to go over all of them, and I am going to try and go over the rest, the entirety of the blog post. But one thing I want to let you guys know so that you are prepared for what's coming in this post. This one I had a little more time to kind of go over the questions and kind of get a feel of what my response will be. I didn't really dive into it that deep because I wanted it to be as organic as can be. But I did notice the questions that I'm going to go over today have me writing stuff down and pondering the things that I write down. So what I wanted to do is, got my, if you can hear that, it's my trusty mechanical pen. I've got my notebook here, handy dandy AF. And I want to go over this with you and do what the post is telling me to do. So that if you guys don't care to go to the website, but you guys enjoy our podcast enough to listen to this, you guys can get out a pen, get out a mechanical pencil, get out a notebook, and you guys can do this too. If you want to get your notebook and pencil out, now's the time. If you don't, get your ears perked, because it's go time. The first question is one that I'd answered last week, and I'm going to go over each question as it goes down, simply because those who haven't listened to last week can hear, oh, that question might be one that I want to hear an answer to, and maybe I don't know how to answer it, so maybe you want to listen to last week's episode and get a feel for maybe the thoughts that might come into your head. So question 1 is, do the people I'm surrounded by bring me life? Great question. Moving on. Now this is a question I did not answer because I thought it was going to take too long, but that's what this episode's about. I went through the how's my week super fast so I can get to the bulk, get to that good stuff. Yeah, we like the good stuff, don't we? So question 2, who inspires me the most? Think about the one person you most want to emulate. Who is it? Now, what is it about their story or character that draws you to them? Write down the words that come to mind. The person you want to be like the most tells you a lot about who you hope to become. So these questions have always been difficult for me because I'm such a literal person at times, and I know for a fact that there's no one that I want to be 100%. Because my mind has always looked at people like, yes, they have this, but then they have this, then this. I'm a big pros and cons person, so there's no one that I've been able to blindly follow and be like, that is the person I want to be like 1,000%. That said, going into this headspace, and by this headspace I mean this podcasting headspace, this wanting to really hone the talent that I believe that I have, I've noticed that I have been more so following specific people and being more intrigued of the goings-ons in their life because I think I have a path now. Before, I always considered myself someone that wanted to be good at everything. Didn't need to be great at everything, but if someone called upon me to join them on some sort of quest, I would want them to have confidence that they have chosen the correct squire, or the correct knight, mage, troll. I want to be a Swiss Army knife. I want people to know that they can come to me whenever, wherever, for whatever. I've never really taken something and been like, okay, that's what I want to be great at. Until this. So once I started doing this, there's one person who has always come to my mind that I would love to emulate. And that person, for those of you who don't follow me on Instagram, at the incomparable Vincent, totally a SpongeBob reference, I post a lot of Jason Kelce. For those of you who don't know who Jason Kelce is, I probably mention him in about half of my episodes. He is a former, single tear runs down the side of my cheek, NFL offensive lineman for the Philadelphia Eagles. He's got a brother, younger brother, his name is Travis Kelce, dating some fairly popular woman. You guys might not know her, Taylor Swift. She didn't just come out with a new album and is probably dominating all of radio, television, and social media at the time that I am releasing this episode. Totally not happening. She's probably very irrelevant to the news world. But Jason Kelce is a man that I have grown to really enjoy in terms of what he does, how he acts, his work ethic, his family values, and I guess I should be writing those down because it's telling me to write down the words that come to mind. So for number 2, I'm putting, first and foremost, a family man. I am big on family. I am so excited for Jen and I to have been able to start our family, starting with Scarlett. They mean the world to me. My parents, my Nina, my Nino, my cousins, my brother. I would do anything for them in a heartbeat. Jen, Scarlett. And I really want to continue that moving on. Jen and I have talked about always wanting to be the house that our family and friends go to for holidays, Christmas, birthdays. You know, we want people to come to us. We want to share us with them, bring them into our space. And I feel like Jason has really emulated that on television, on social media, being a football player, you know. He has a podcast with his brother called New Heights, which I listen to every Wednesday, comes out at 7 a.m. He has a documentary that has him living his life through a football season. It showcases his spouse and his 3 girls. And I just love seeing, you know, him play with his daughters, but him also, you know, being a man and getting what he needs to get done, but then also having the time of his life, you know, going to his brother's football games, cheering him on, doing the podcast, laughing with his friends. He has a Christmas album, 2 Christmas albums with 2 of his best friends who are also football players, Jordan Mailata and Lane Johnson. And I just love that he started through football, which is something I am familiar with. He had a brother, which I am familiar with. They grew up tight-knit family, which I am familiar with. And then he had a great career. But then he's also a personality. And now that he's not playing football anymore, he's really showcasing that personality. And he still has fun. He still makes a fool of himself. And I love that he still has that child in him, because that's something that I've always tried to keep, the inner child in me. I don't want to become someone who doesn't know how to have fun, someone who, you know, just sits on the couch and doesn't do anything and, you know, doesn't know how to break free and get away from my 9 to 5 or work, eat, sleep, repeat. You know, I want to have fun. I want to play with our children when the time comes. I want to be able to take Scarlett out and have fun with her. Those are things that I really value and really continue to keep in my head and my heart every single day. I'm 28. I collect Pokemon cards. I watch cartoons. I think I'm doing pretty well, huh, Scarlett? Yes. We go on vacations and we go to the arcade too. So family man, fun personality, child at heart, but also motivated. The man retired, he's still doing the podcast. He's still going out there, doing commercials, making deals with sports networks to do commentary on next NFL season. Still doing a lot, still getting out there, but he's getting rid of the physical wear and tear that he was having to go through in the NFL, which is allowing him to recuperate his body, get his mind right, allow him to be able to play more with his daughters, watch them grow up, have very minimal pains and aches in the later years of his life. Very respectable. Love to be on the podcast one day. Heck, maybe he'd be on my podcast one day. Stay tuned. Question 3. What are my favorite stories? Now, when I first read this one, I thought it was talking about, first of all, stories that were in my head that I had to think up. And so last week I said, my stories are the ones that I've been talking about in my previous episodes, which is true. I do have favorites in my previous episodes. But I didn't read the little caption part. So let's read it, shall we? What are your top 3 movies? So I'm going to stop there, just so I can write down my top 3 movies. 2 of the movies, I guess, are like kind of the same, but not really, because they're both really great on their own. But surprise, surprise, it is going to be Avengers Infinity War, number 2, Avengers Endgame, number 3, Disney's Inside Out. I feel like the Avengers one's kind of shocked you guys. Disney's Inside Out seems on par though. Is there a common thread that runs through each story? If you want to see what matters most to you, look at the stories that resonate the closest. The common thread that runs through my favorite movies: the underdog who perseveres through pain, thrives from their authentic self, and succeeds at something sane people would never attempt. Your core values are laying on the surface of your favorite stories. So this one I actually did think about prior to this moment, simply because I was trying to figure out a common thread, and I thought that might take longer doing it live. Screw it, we're doing it live. Not in this case, because I kind of didn't do it live. But I didn't write anything down, so bear with me. So the common thread between these 3 movies, Infinity War, you have Marvel's Avengers, Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, etc., Guardians of the Galaxy. They're all separated. They're all doing their own thing. One common goal, Thanos, holder of the Infinity Stones eventually, brings all of these different, various characters together with one common goal. Avengers Endgame. The common goal from Infinity War does not succeed. 5 years go by. Iron Man is off dying somewhere. Thor is depressed somewhere. Captain America is somewhere else. Everyone is off on their own again, but they're all a lot more negative than before. Hope comes around, brings them all together to finally defeat Thanos. Inside Out. It's about the emotions of a young girl. The emotions they're alive. So you have joy, sadness, anger, disgust, I believe it's nervousness. 5 key emotions. And joy has always been the front runner. She's the one who's allowing the lead character to live her life happy. She's the one who's controlling majority of the things. When she's disgusted by something, joy comes in and helps. Joy is the primary emotion that this girl is feeling. As she's growing up, she moves. Things change, her friends change, she goes to a new school. You have disgust, anger, sadness coming in to play, and they're taking on larger roles in the character's life because things aren't joyful anymore. So the story is joy fighting to keep this girl happy and positive. Little does she know, people need to be sad. Sadness allows people to see that you need help. When you are visibly sad, when you are visibly frustrated, people will ask what's wrong. Joy took the film to understand that. They worked together, they figured it out. So a common thread that I first sense is teamwork. Relying on the people around you. Allowing others to rely on you when necessary. Coming together, finding a common purpose. Working together to achieve that goal. Being on a team. Something I've been used to my whole life. Playing sports, being part of a family, being part of a tight-knit group of friends. We are a team. We work together to achieve our goals. Dealing with difficult times in your life. You have, I just remembered her name, Riley is the girl whose emotions are helping her out throughout the movie. Riley moves. She's growing up. She's going to a new school. Things aren't that great. She specifically moves to San Francisco, which I also resonated with when I moved from Southern California to San Francisco to go to school, to go to college. I had never been away from my family for more than 2 weeks. I had never lived outside of Southern California before. So those times were very difficult for me. And I had to navigate those on my own. I had to figure out how my emotions were working. But then I also had people to lean on when necessary. I needed to feel all of these emotions to realize, things are changing. Change is okay. A lot of great things happen because of change. And so you have Infinity War, where everyone's super confident in themselves, Thanos ends up winning, and then change. Endgame, that change is reflecting in the beginning of the movie. You see everyone trying to figure out their emotions. Thor's depressed. Captain America's trying to help out other people who are very sad, don't know how to move forward. Iron Man is out there starving, possibly gonna die. He ends up being brought back. He wants nothing to do with Thanos. He is freaked out, doesn't want anything to do with him. He goes off, lives in the woods with his wife. They have a kid, which is super cool. But then who he is Iron Man. And he ends up being one of the main reasons why they're able to find Thanos, why they're able to kill Thanos, was due to Tony Stark, aka Iron Man's sacrifice. So dealing with emotions, overcoming those emotions, and being a stronger person on the other side is also something that I resonate with when it comes to these three films. So we have teamwork, overcoming adversity, overcoming your emotions. So I'll just end at those three. But who would have thought that I would find an underlying correlation between Inside Out and Marvel's Avengers? Look what All Grown Up is doing to me. That's super cool. Moving on. Question 4, would I want to live with me? Answered that last episode. Question 5, do I love from my insecurities or do I love from my strengths? Answered it last week, moving on. This one is an interesting one. Where am I ripe with talent and where do I quickly deflate? We all have talent, and we all have loads of non-talent we keep trying to transform into talent. It's pretty harsh. Write down a few things you're talented at and a few things you're not. I guess I'll start there before I move on because I just kind of want to just start jotting things down. So I'm just going to, top of my head, good at talking, good at responding. For those who know me, I can backsass pretty well. Quick learner, couple months ago, I went axe throwing for the first time, and I was hitting that bullseye fairly often. The guy who works there said I was a quick learner, so I take that. Let's go one more. Scarlett, what am I talented at? Adapting. And when I say adapting, a lot of my thoughts go towards communication. I know when to talk, I know when not to talk. I feel like I can read the room fairly well. I know when I need to do something versus I don't really need to do it. I can sit back, let someone else take the helm. Adapting to my surroundings. I feel like anywhere I go, I can eventually figure it out, make the most of it, overcome it. Now we'll go to the negative things. What are a few things I'm not talented at? This is a hard one. And I think the hard part with talent that I feel is my issue, and one thing that I keep coming back to is like my first thought was, okay, maybe I'm not good at golf. Can I get better at golf? Yeah. Reading on for this question, it says, after you write down the things you're good at versus not good at, focus on the things you're good at. Stop trying to chip away at that solid cement block when you have a soft block of cheese just waiting to be devoured. You know what? I guess I'll take this in a work-related way. One of the things that I've always been good at is someone gives me something to do, I will do it. I will do it well, I will do it fast. Open-ended tasks, things where I have to, it could be this, it could be this, it could be this. There's no 100% right answer. It's just what you feel you want to go with. I don't do well in those situations. Work-wise, I need a path forward because it's work. If you want me to get a task done, tell me how to get it done. I'm a quick learner. I can figure it out and I can get it completed. But telling me to do something that can have multiple different ways of getting done and at the same time multiple answers freaks me out. Because to me, there should be one answer. Tell me how to get there and I'll get there. When it comes to work, one thing I'm not talented at is really scrolling through pages and pages of things to learn and words, and I need my mind to have different things to focus on. And when I say that, it's like, for example, when I'm working at home, I have the music on, but I need them to be music videos, so I get that visual. And at the same time, I have my computer on and I'm working. I need my eyes, I need my ears, I need everything, my senses to be, moving. I need to have a bunch of things going on for me to really get through my work, which is a pretty interesting way to do it. I'm actually one of the only people in the office, besides like maybe a handful of others, that listen to music while they work. I think it's so weird to work in silence. Sometimes I'll do it, but I'll catch myself. I'm not doing it on purpose. It's just I forget to put my headphones back in. So when it comes to this question, I am focusing on being able to adapt, being a quick learner, backsassing when I need to backsass, and my communication skills. This is an interesting question. The way I think might hinder the response that I have for this question, but I do find it helpful. I do feel like it kind of weeds out, like I was able to kind of debunk work and where my strengths are there and what maybe I shouldn't really worry about because I'm really good at what I do. And I'm very fast and efficient in what I do. So maybe I should just keep doing that instead of worrying about things that take time out of my day and take stress added onto my shoulders, and my mind kind of gets jumbly when I feel like I have to do something that maybe I've been here for 4 years, maybe I don't really need to do that well in order to succeed. So that one, I feel like I didn't really answer it in a way that I was hoping to. I do apologize. But I do want to try and get one more question in. I'm not going to be able to get them all in. I'm sorry, guys. I kind of went in on these questions here. Number 7, what are my favorite hobbies, things I do for fun, and is there something I can leverage into a career product? What I'm doing right now, going off of question 6, the podcast, moving forward with that, I'm going to answer that quickly because I think that one's kind of speaks for itself with what I'm doing here. The podcast is what I'm trying to leverage. My communication skills, my back sass is what I'm trying to leverage. Back sass, I don't know why, it just sounded fun to say. This one's a good one. Number 8, what is the main thing that's holding me back? Is it an addiction, anxiety attacks, depression, an obsession with pinning pictures of rock-hard abs on Pinterest while drinking? What is the main thing that is keeping you from moving forward, and who can help you cut the chain? Yeah, this is a good one. This is a really good one, Scarlett. This all comes back to me feeling like I need to be good at everything, because it's a double-edged sword. Granted, I'm good at everything, or I'd like to believe I am. The issue with that, like I said before, is that I'm not great at anything. And I'm comfortable with that. I'm comfortable being good enough to be first, second, and third place, get recognized, fourth. I've always been really good at things, but never good enough to get that recognition. And I've been okay with that, because then I don't have to be in the spotlight and feel like I need to follow it up with something better. But I can brag about how good I am amongst the other 10 people that got 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. I can feel good about being better than the majority of people. I've always considered myself a B student. I've always accepted that. I've always gone to school and made sure that I got passing grades. Never really went above and beyond. Didn't feel it was necessary because I was a 2.9 to 3.2 GPA student, and that's where I plan to stay. I didn't need to give any more effort than that because initially I didn't even plan on going to college. I was just going to go to community college, but then the colleges that I ended up wanting to go to were 2.9 to 3.1 GPA requirements. So I was still in the zone. I really am good at staying in my lane. And I think that's what's holding me back. I'm okay working out 2 to 3 times a week for a couple weeks and then taking some time off because I've been working out my whole life, so my muscle memory is really strong. And so it only takes me a couple workouts to start seeing results. And so I'll be like, well, I got a slight bicep again. I'm good to take a vacay, a little R&R. Because I'm satisfied. Because I look good. And I'm okay with that. Have I understood that I've been a little more overweight my entire life? Yeah, of course. But the hard part is, even when I was at my lightest, when I had recently quit football and I lost, 50 pounds or so, I was still considered overweight. And I think that was the hard part about it, because I know I felt good. And I know when I look at pictures from before, and I think a lot of people do this, they look at pictures of how they look before and they're like, wow, I was so skinny, or I was so ripped, or this and that. At the time, I didn't feel that way. At the time, I felt like I was still chasing something. When looking back on it, I wish I was there again. And that's hard. I guess that's why I try to be okay with me being good at everything but not being great at anything, because even as great as I am at something, am I going to be the best? I don't know. That's going to take a lot of work, a lot of effort, you know. Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, you see their work ethic. You see the way they train and how much discipline they have. And some people are built for that. Do I think everyone can be that? Of course. Do I want to be that? I don't know. I feel like figuring out what the path to greatness is not difficult. It's the day-to-day being on that path. You know, me looking in the mirror with those little biceps and saying, okay, let's make them more defined tomorrow. Don't be satisfied. Now, is that going to change? Is that mindset going to change overnight? No, but it's definitely the main thing that's holding me back. My reluctance to keep pushing. I don't know. I do know that we are nearing the end of this episode, and I only have 30 seconds to say sayonara. So I'm sorry this is a quick exit, but I want you guys to have some great drinks, great food, enjoy some great company, be around great animals. Scarlett, you're the best animal. And please continue, everyone, to love the life you're living. Take care.